Hello and welcome to another episode of the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast. This is episode 40. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else a gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host, Ryan Cross from the Firearms Radio Network, your source for broadcasts for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. Bandwidth for this episode is brought to you by Action Target. This week's guest is TJ Gauthier, once again, the product review manager of the Firearms Insider. Hey TJ, how you been?
Hey Ryan, I've been pretty good. How about you?
Oh, not too bad. It rained today.
Oh yeah, it stormed for
Yeah.
us today. Did you put any of those fires out with the rain?
No, but it gave me a chance to get caught up on my garden and stuff.
Oh yeah,
But
actually
nobody
saw
wants to hear about gardening.
actually saw a satellite picture of your guys' region over the weekend. You could see all the smoke from the International Space Station. Actually, it's kind of nuts.
Yeah, I was literally like boxed in. Like I wanted to travel, like go camping for the weekend, but there was nowhere you could go in eastern Washington that didn't have some sort of haze. But luckily it did. It was only really bad for maybe about 4 or 5 days as far as the concentration of smoke, but then the wind kind of kicked in
Hmm.
and thinned it out. So
Well, that really
yeah,
cuts down your shooting time then too, huh?
yeah, definitely. I mean, unless you show up to the range in like a full-on gas mask and oxygen tank.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, but no, I just did some reloading for the most part in shooting. I've been working on some subsonic loads for my 308. So I've been working on, this is my subsonic load. It's a 220 grain Hornady round nose,
Hmm.
just a torpedo of a bullet. And so that's moving below the speed of sound, so probably about like 1050, 1080 feet per second,
Okay.
with some interesting powder behind it. Trail Boss, it's like they're like really thin wafers or little flat donuts. So you get a lot more volume for a small amount. So there's only about 13 and a half, 14 grains in this case, which a normal rifle load with Magnum powder, or not Magnum powder, but like something like Varget would be in the 42 grain area. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, the heavier bullet you use, the more powder you want for that specific Trail Boss powder. So there's a little bit of experimentation trying to get the bullets to move just fast enough to spin and stabilize. Yeah, so that's all. That's pretty much all I did. And I loaded 250 rounds of 45 ball ammunition, and that was just wonderful. What did you do in shooting this week?
Didn't do a whole lot too much. I, of course, carried, and then actually Saturday night on our way home, I got pulled over for some illegal tint on my car, and me and one of the cops ended up talking about our ammo choices, so that was kind of cool.
That's always good. I get pulled
And I
over
do
and they
good.
see like oh, well that's even better.
Yeah.
When I get pulled over, they see the Ruger and the Glock and the gun stickers on the back of my truck, and it's like they don't walk right up to the window. They stand like 10 feet back with their hands on their holsters, and
Yeah.
ask me to roll down the window. And it's like, geez, profiling, man. Uh, anyway, so let's get into the announcements. We're always looking for guests to come on the show. So if you're a listener and you listen to the reviews and you have some products, some gear, or a gun that you want to review, you can come on the show and talk about it, and that would be great. So if you send me an email, cross@firearmsradio.tv, I can get you set up to do that. Another announcement is we got a new giveaway. And TJ, why don't you tell the listeners about the new giveaway we got going on?
Okay. What I have here is it's a Glock Tech Mic holster, which it doesn't seem to be fairly common for just everybody to know exactly what it is, but it does seem to be pretty popular among the people that do. It's kind of a trigger guard clamshell almost. It's just a Kydex piece that's molded just around the trigger guard, and it fits all of the this particular one that will be given away fits all of the smaller frame Glocks like the 940 and 357, any of that uh, compact, subcompact, or full size of those particular calibers. But what it does, it just slides over the trigger guard for a truly no bulk holster. I've seen other companies brag that, but this one really is, almost zero bulk. And then it comes with their Versa cord also, which they advertise. It's a little bit longer, and I believe it's a heavier duty cord. Just it gives you a little more carry options in that respect. So they say you can kind of use it as a pocket holster, or you can. Well, I don't think I explained exactly what it was, but basically what it is, you clamp this little Kydex piece around your pistol, and you loop the cord around your belt loop. So you might have to go to the website to actually truly get a handle on what I'm talking about. But once you have the cord around your belt loop, you just kind of stick the gun in your pants, almost like they do in the movies and stuff like that. You see, but it just holds it up. It holds it up. The cord keeps it from falling down your pants as you would fear without using a holster. And then once you draw it, you just tug, and the holster pops right off the trigger guard, and there you go. It's really versatile because you can use it. I found it's really comfortable for sitting because you can reposition it as you need to. But if you're going from sitting to standing, it's kind of a little cumbersome because you constantly have to reposition your gun. But if you're only standing or only sitting, it's actually really, really nice and comfortable. And the retail price on that is $20.95.
Do you know what the acronym MIC stands for the holster?
I did. I looked it up, but I don't remember. Let me look it up real quick.
It's not Mexican inconspicuous carry, is it?
No, I think it's something minimal inside carry, I believe it is.
Okay.
Or something along those lines.
So it's pretty much like a safe gangster carry.
Yeah, basically. And it was actually a police officer, I believe, that developed it, because they were kind of, for their undercover plainclothes type officers or even off-duty, they were just kind of doing that, sticking it in their pants, and this guy's like, well, we need a better solution for this. So he made this little Kydex piece that snaps on, and he says tons of police officers carry it, and seems like a pretty good deal, especially for only $20, and you can win one from us for free.
Yeah, there you go. So in order to win one, just like the previous giveaways that we've run, you just leave us an iTunes review, and then send me an email with your name, your iTunes username, and then your address. So if you win, we can send it to you. So how long do you think we should let this one go for?
I don't know. That's really up to you, I suppose. Since you ran the other ones, you have a little more handle on that.
Yeah, I like to give it, maybe 3 or 4 weeks, just so I can talk about it for, about 4 episodes, so that way if someone is traveling or whatnot and they haven't caught up on them, they can maybe, the last minute, put it in a review. So let's go ahead and call it, let's see, July's almost over. Let's say August 25th. No, I'm sorry, August 26th. That's a Tuesday. So that's when we'll be recording. And then that podcast will be released on the 29th. And then that way the winner will know. So there you go. You have until August 26th to win the Mick holster.
All right, great.
So let's get right into the new product spotlight. We've got some exciting things to look at this week. First off, I have a pistol from FN, and it's the FNS 9 long slide. And this is becoming kind of a hot 3-gunning pistol. It's a striker-fired autoloader. Double action. It's got an all stainless steel construction. The slide is available in either matte black or matte silver. and the frame is just the black polymer. As the name implies, it does have a long slide, which gives you a longer sight radius and also a longer barrel. It's got a 5-inch long barrel, and so that kind of makes it more advantageous for running and gunning and accurate shooting. So obviously competitors have kind of grown to like it a lot. And so if you're not a Glock fan, was like the Glock 32 or 33, that long slide version.
The 34 and the 35.
The 34 and the 35, yeah, that's right. Then, FN makes really nice handguns. I mean, they are polymer and striker fired, but they're one of the finest you can get, and it definitely, breaks the mold of, you just see Glocks that everyone's using mostly. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I'm glad to see more people. If I remember right, these FNSs are relatively new in the market. They haven't been around since, Glocks or anything, but they're not brand new, but they're still relatively new from what my understanding. And I'm glad other companies are branching out into these competition type roles, because you see, Smith & Wesson and Springfield XDs, all that, and now you have FNS throwing their hat in the ring. And from what I hear, people really like the FNs. So I've never shot one, but seem pretty cool.
Well, usually you see like the FNN or the FNX or like the tactical 45 pistols. So it's kind of nice to see this and offered at 9mm and that longer 5-inch barrel. So hopefully with some like 124 grain bullets and that longer barrel, it'll give the 9 a little bit more wallop to knock over some of those stubborn pepper poppers that I always seem to have an issue with. So for a price on it, I'm seeing it available for $529 at some online retailers.
Wow, that's a really good price, considering the non-competition model Glocks are usually around that price. And then the competition ones are usually about $50 more or so. So that's a really good price for I figured they'd be more than that with being FN.
Yeah, I did too. So that was there's cheaper than dirt, but we don't like cheaper than dirt. But here, Bud's Guns, they have it for $529, but that's their cash discount price. The retail price is $544, which still is a heck of a deal.
Yeah, actually, that cash discount, I've done that with Buds before, and it's really kind of easy if you don't mind waiting an extra week for your gun. Basically, all you do is just send them a e-check, basically, and it's all you got to do is give them your bank account number, and they just kind of go through that rather than a credit card number. I don't know why it's cheaper for them, I guess because credit card processing fees, but it wasn't it wasn't difficult. It was just a little aggravating having to wait an extra week in today's buy it now, get it tomorrow kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's got 17 plus 1 capacity, same as the Glock 17. It's got a pretty aggressive looking checker on the grip, and some looks like interchangeable back straps, just like most of the polymer pistols available these days. Let you do that. The front of the trigger guard also has a little bit of line not engraving but stippling in there too. So if that can assist you in if your grip is your supporting hand wrapping around the front of the trigger guard. So it's a 3-dot sight. The weight is 26.5 ounces. I think that you're going to probably see more of these in the competing world. I mean, not just like watching, the nationals and seeing the FN shooters use this, but I think if you more and more of like IDPA and 3-gun competitors, you'll start to see some more of these FNS long sides come out.
Yeah, and that one thing I just noticed on here, it seems to be fully ambidextrous. Yep, fully ambi slide, stop levers, and magazine release. So that's an awesome feature, and I don't think anybody else is doing that. They might have the ambi mag release, but I don't think anybody else has the ambi slide release, at least on this style of firearm.
Yep. Oh, that's a good feature to mention. I mean, only that, but I mean, all the things you don't like about a Glock, you won't see in this. So, the magazine release isn't just a square knob that digs into your fingers and is hard to reach. It's kind of more of an elongated magazine release. Um, it looks like the trigger is kind of that segmented, safe trigger type deal, but hopefully it's a little bit better. I don't see any technical specs about the trigger. But yeah, looks like a very attractive gun. It's got a kind of almost like a built-in beaver tail, a little bit extension from the grip in the polymer, and I think that's really nice too, especially when you're you're shooting and you're moving and you're transitioning, and sometimes you can get your hand too high up there and get bit by the slide, but you only do that once, and then you'll never do it again. So if you want to check that out, go to fnhusa.com and then look at their products, their handguns, and you'll see it's under the FNS series. So the next product is probably what most people have been anxiously waiting to hear more about, and it's actually the Silencer Co. Salvo 12 shotgun suppressor. And this just kind of hit the social media a couple days ago. What Silencer Co. did was send out like a wooden mystery box to like a couple editors and select gun news people. We didn't get one at the Firearms Radio Network, I don't think. At least no one told me. But basically, it was like just a little teaser, and it had like a 99.9% pure shotgun shell, like molded out of copper, and so that was kind of like their teaser. Obviously Silencer Co. all they do is make silencers or suppressors, and then having a shotgun shell. So that kind of alluded to what they were working on. It looks pretty reminiscent of the Gemtech Osprey 45 silencer, whereas it's got the top half of it is where the bullet goes through, but the bottom half of it kind of has the chambers. I'm not sure exactly how it attaches to shotguns. I'm very curious as to whether it's something that threads into your chokes or whether it clamps on or obviously wouldn't slip on, but I'm interested in if it's adaptable to multiple shotguns, and what if you've got a vent rib, is it only compatible with Berettas and certain like Mossbergs and whatnot. But they're showing pictures, and it's got it on a couple different shotguns. What do you think?
I think it's really cool that somebody's actually doing this, and it's not a one-off kind of thing, kind of like Red Jacket did theirs, but I don't think they ever actually sold any, that kind of thing. They just did the one for the show, and then, maybe if somebody has the unlimited funds to get them to make another one. But back to what your comment on the attachment, if you scroll down, they have like a little wireframe kind of drawing of it, and it looks like it has a choke, like your standard choke. So what I'm imagining is they probably have a few different chokes that screw into like your Remington, your rim chokes, and your Mossbergs and Benellis and all that kind of stuff, and then it probably has a attachment point on the end of the choke. That would be my bet.
There you go. Okay.
And then another feature you didn't, I don't think you mentioned it. It's modular, I think is what they're calling it. It breaks down. You can take it apart and then take out these little sections. It's sectioned off to where you can remove 2 inches at a time, I believe. So it starts off it comes to you 12 inches in length, and then you can shorten it down to 6 inches. So if you have a longer, say like a sporting clay shotgun that you want it on versus a short home defense shotgun, you want to balance it right rather than having 2 pounds hanging off the end of your barrel. If it's really long, it might make it pretty awkward. So you can shorten it of course, it's going to sacrifice a little bit of sound reduction, but you know,
It
just it's
only
user
looks to be
customizable a
it
little bit.
only looks about 4 decibels per 2-inch section. So
Hmm.
they say like if you've got the full 12 inches modular sections attached, you're looking at a dB at the muzzle at 137.9, and then if you take off 2 inches to make it 10 inches overall, then it's 141. If you make it 8 inches, it's 145. So even at the shortest the configuration, 6 inches overall, you're still gonna get a decibel at the muzzle of 149.2. So it's still going to do the job as far as hearing safe at the shortest. 140 decibels is hearing safe set by OSHA. So even at the ear, it's actually 140. So as long as you don't have it 6 inches, then have your ear right by the muzzle, you'll still be okay. If you're gonna
So
put
you
your
don't want
ear
it to
by
be
the
like
muzzle, like you're gonna
that scene from Black Hawk Down with the guy shooting the machine gun from the guy's back, huh?
no. But if you're in like if you're in like a duck blind and all your buddies or one of your buddies has these and no one's wearing ear protection, and you want it to be hearing safe at the muzzle, which doesn't really make much sense to have your ear right by the muzzle, you'd want the full 12 inches because that'll take you under 140. MSRP on this thing is $1,400. That's pretty stinking high, and I don't know if everyone's going to be jumping and gnawing at the bit to fork out that much money on top of the $200 tax stamp that still applies.
I
I
think
think
it's a
if
pretty cool innovation. So I think it's probably at a who else you gonna pick price point.
yeah,
But
that's
at,
definitely it.
at the same time, whenever I first looked at it, I was like, this thing is gonna be at least $2,000, and to see that $1,400 actually kind of surprised me. I probably wouldn't.
Yeah,
It'd be on the probably the very bottom of my to buy list, but it's still pretty neat.
yeah. I
Oh, and then I
mean,
wanted to
if
go back and correct you real quick. The Osprey is made by Silencer Co.
whoops.
Yes.
For some
That's probably
reason,
why they. It's probably why it resembles it.
I said Gemtech, didn't I?
Yeah, I believe so. And then for
All
those
right.
that aren't quite familiar with maybe the names, the Osprey is the one you see it a lot of people have it, and it hangs below the center of the bore, like that way it's not round. I think they call it eccentric or eccentric, something like that. It's not
Mhm.
concentric, it's eccentric. So it hangs down below, so that way you don't have to have taller sights or just guess at what you're shooting. It doesn't block the sights. And
Yeah.
they look like they did a pretty good job at keeping it to the top of like the rib, for example. It looks like they have not
You
blocking
want
the rib at all.
you want to say that again? I think you skipped a little bit.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay. I think how far, Ryan?
About 30 seconds.
Okay. So I think they did a pretty good job keeping it from blocking the line of sight because of that eccentric design where it hangs below most of the volume of the suppressor hangs below the center line of the bore, so it just kind of keeps you from having to guess where you're shooting, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you're running a tactical shotgun and you've got like a magazine tube extension that extends past your barrel, you're not going to be able to use the suppressor. You're going to need to put a smaller tube back on there, so that way it's not, conflicting with that surface there or the real estate right underneath your muzzle there. But I mean, for $1,400, that's a pretty stinking good rifle suppressor. Like we're talking titanium and magnum rated. But like you said, this is the only commercially available suppressor available. I mean, everyone's first comment is, "Well, Red Jacket did it." Well, that was a one-off for a TV show. So you're not going to be able to order one for yourself, whereas this you will be able to.
And let's
I'm
face it,
really
if
digging the.
Red Jacket put out their own, it'd probably be about $2,800 rather than 14. So
Yeah.
they jack everything up
And
anyways.
yeah, and then I'd hope that it'd come with a burlap sack, because I wouldn't want to be seen with it with the Red Jack name on it. But that's just my personal opinion. Uh, so yeah, I really dig the modularity. I wish that like more suppressors would work like that way. So like my 30 cal can, I mean, it's like 9.5 inches, which is it's definitely quiet. But sometimes if I'm putting it on like an AR that's got like a 16-inch barrel, I mean, you're already looking at past 20 inches of barrel length. It'd be nice to be able to break it in half, and sacrifice a little bit of performance, but still maintain a little bit of a closer or a shorter overall length. If Silencer Co. brought this to the pistol or rifle suppressor line, I would not be surprised. I think that'd probably be their next best move. Oh hey, here's a 30 cal suppressor that's also modular. That would be awesome.
Yeah, imagine with them doing this, they might not be too far behind Ryan with that comment. And one thing I noticed when the firearm blog posted their pictures of their little invitation wooden box, and I honestly haven't seen anybody make reference to it, and I'm not entirely sure if a lot of people would get the reference, but on the invitation it said you are invited to Silencer Co.'s effing Catalina wine mixer, which if you're familiar with the movie Step Brothers, that was a big joke in that movie. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh, I didn't get that either. Yeah, I guess they're having like a wine mixer in Utah to kind of like a I don't know, like a press conference, or just I don't know. It sounds pretty casual the way that they released that, but the video, you can watch the video on Silencer Co.'s website and all over the place. It's slow motion shooting, and honestly, they show way more of the clay pigeon and the skeet thrower than the suppressor itself, which is kind of a little bit aggravating. It builds a suspense, but you're like, oh, cool, that's it. Oh, nope, back to the skeet thrower. Oh, hey, there's a suppressor again. Oh, back to the skeet.
One thing I think that has to lend itself to, though, a lot of people, I even saw some comments whenever some of the places were posting it on Facebook and such. They're saying, oh, but you're only going to be able to use it with slugs because the shot's going to come apart in it and destroy it. Well, here's the screenshot of the video is obviously, he's shooting a low brass, some bird shot through it. So I think they do make a note that it is compatible with at least most, I would say, 12 gauge ammunition, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, because that's kind of the biggest draw, is whether you're a hunter or whether you're shooting trap. It's nice to be able to not have earplugs, but then again, earplugs are pennies.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of times I won't wear earplugs in the field because the adrenaline gets pumping. You're out in the open, and your ears just kind of they take the beating, but you don't really notice it unless you get your bell gets rung really good. I don't know if I'd take these into the field personally. Like when sometimes when like a quail flushes up, I shoot the quail. The report of the shotgun, some birds are really shy, and they'll stay, kind of tucked down, and they won't get up and fly. But that sometimes it's that shot that pushes them over the edge of like, oh, I got to get out of here. And so, typically sometimes when you shoot one because you flushed it by almost walking on it, another one will fly up behind you, and so it gives you more opportunities to shoot. Not saying that a suppressed shotgun report won't do the same thing, but I'd like to see it in practice.
Yeah, it might be pretty cool, but even kind of what you're talking about, maybe if you have, I'm not entirely sure about the turkey laws anywhere because I've never gone turkey hunting, but if it's legal and you have 2 or 3 turkeys concentrated in one area, just pop, 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 there you go, 3 turkeys.
Yeah, if there's a bag limit of 3 turkeys, let's not connect poaching with suppressor use.
Right, no,
One
no.
other,
Obviously, follow
well,
your local laws. If it's legal to hunt with a suppressor and all that, you need to know that
yeah,
beforehand. But as I feel like if you're spending $1,400 on a shotgun suppressor, you're probably into the industry enough to know your laws
yeah.
and to know
I
to
mean, I'd like to
research.
see, like, hopefully they do like a 12 gauge or a 20 gauge adapter.
Hmm.
Um, since it's a smaller shot, you know, typically maybe you'd be able to use the same can. It's a bigger diameter, so it shouldn't really affect it too much, maybe.
Yeah, kind of like your 30 on
Also,
your
I'd be
5.56.
yeah, yeah, and those shotgun adapters that let you like single shot like a pistol cartridge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested, but I almost already know the answer before I ask it. But will this suppress those loads? But I mean, basically, you'd have like a little 4 or 5 inch section of barrel that you insert into your shotgun barrel, and you shoot. Say it's a 9 millimeter. You shoot that 9 millimeter. It's still got all this free space around the barrel, and it's enough of it where it's not touching. But I don't know if it's staying concentric enough and parallel to where you're not going to have any baffle strikes. So that's another. If someone has a lot of money to spend, like, and they have a YouTube channel and they want to try it out and risk damaging it and their gun, by all means. But it's just something to think about.
Well, I think it would be pretty safe because people shoot those things out of like a 28-inch barrel and it doesn't hit the edge of the barrel. So I think if it's still concentric at that point, it would probably stay pretty centered up on the in the suppressor or silencer.
Yeah,
But
that'd be cool because then you
if
would
you do
you
and it
would have a
destroys it, don't blame me.
yeah. That is true. So if you want to check that out, go to Silencer Co.'s website and look up the Salvo 12. It's pretty awesome. I'm kind of jealous, and I'd sure like to see one in real life. At least go to the range and see someone using it. They'll probably have a big old crowd of people around them too,
Yeah,
checking it out.
imagine you can bring this thing to the Sporting Clays range and you'd probably get laughed at for about 30 seconds and then you shoot it and everybody's like, oh, let me shoot it.
Yeah, kind of a bummer though. My Mossberg 930 does not have a choke threading in it, so that wouldn't work. I only have one gun that's got a choke in it, and that's the 870 Express Magnum super long duck gun. So I'd still try it if they sent
Yep.
me one.
Hey Ryan, another quick aside. Do you happen to know the guy that's modeling this thing off on their website? He looks incredibly
Uh,
familiar to me, but can't place him.
I do not.
Okay, no big deal.
Um,
Just curious.
yeah. Yeah, they're attractive photographs, that's for sure. So the next product is the black hole weaponry barrels. I wanted to let you guys know. I'm in the process of building a 300 blackout pistol, AR-15, and so in looking at barrels for the 300 blackout, I figured that black hole weaponry was the manufacturer that I wanted to go with. Just been doing Google searches, looking on Brownells, looking on other sites. The black hole weaponry barrels get a really high review almost across the board. What sets them apart from other barrels is that they use a different rifling. It's they call it the caudal three-land polygonal rifling, and what it is, it's kind of more arc-shaped rifling, and it's supposed to have a higher accuracy, increased velocity, and reduced gas cutting, and ease of cleaning, as opposed to the classic, rifling where you've got, 6 grooves. So I decided to go with them. They are a little bit high priced. In the a local shop, I don't know what their markup is, but they had 10.5-inch barrels for $399, and I almost choked when I saw that. So I actually looked around to see if those barrels were any cheaper online, and I managed to find a website called Surplus Ammo, which is actually from my state, Washington. They're out of Tacoma, and I've actually got some lowers from them. And they're offering a deal right now on if you buy any Black Hole Weaponry barrel, you get a free disassembled upper receiver. So it's an SAA brand receiver, um, and it's T marked and all that, so it looks like a pretty decent upper receiver. You know, it's forged, it's not billet or anything like that. But I thought, heck, you know, not only is the barrel itself cheaper than what I saw at the local shop here. Let's see, 300 blackout 10-inch stainless steel barrel, $284.99. So not only is it more than $100 cheaper, but they're going to give me a free upper, which is probably valued around 70, 80 bucks. So I went ahead and I went with that, and I wanted to let listeners know too, now that I got mine. If you guys are interested in building an AR and you want to get a Black Hole Weaponry barrel, buy it from Surplus Ammo and get a free upper receiver. That'd be pretty cool. So they've got 5.56, 6.8, 300 blackout. I don't see any 300 or 308 barrels, but they've got chromoly, nitride, you know, heavy contours, government profile, pencil barrels. Lots to choose from, and the pricing seems really good. Black Hole used to be out of a town called Moses Lake here in Washington, and then I think they moved to Oregon. But they make really good stuff, and their finish on the barrels is really good too. So I wanted to let you guys in on that little deal that I found. And then as I get the barrel, yeah, now that I got mine, I don't got to worry about competition for stock. But once I get it, I'll probably do a review on it. I'm finding that building a 300 blackout, even though I do have a suppressor, you really want to go with a pistol length. Because if you have like a carbine length gas system and a 16-inch barrel, not only the powder in the 300 blackout case, most of it's burned up by 10 or so inches anyway. But if you have a carbine length gas system, or God forbid, you know, intermediate length, you're not going to have enough pressure to cycle your rounds. So for subsonic loads, and then you might have some issues still with supersonic loads, unless you have a suppressor attached, which then gives you that back pressure. So even though I plan on shooting it suppressed primarily, I went with a 10-inch barrel. So that also entails much more expenses than I have originally was planning on, because if you're going to go with a short pistol barrel, then you've got to go the whole, well, it can't be an SBR route until I have a registered receiver, so I got to get one of those SIG arm braces and a virgin lower receiver that hasn't had a barrel installed on it, or not a barrel, a stock, and all this and that. So it's quick, and most people say, oh, 300 blackout, it's like the most inexpensive caliber conversion because you just need to get a new barrel. Well, that's not true, because you need to get a whole bunch of other stuff in order to make it work right. Yeah, you can just get a barrel and throw it on your gun, but your existing recoil system, your existing gas system might not be the best to operate correctly. So I'll drink the Kool-Aid for you guys, and I'll let you know what's the big deal, how is it, and how my build works out. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah,
so if you want to go
to that.
Yeah,
definitely looking forward to you building that, so we can live vicariously through you, as they say. And I did notice on Surplus Ammo, you mentioned that they don't have the 308 barrels, but they do have, Black Hole does have some 308 barrels on there for people to take a look at.
Oh, good. It must have been on the second page. I know when you go to Black Hole Weaponry's website, blackholeweaponry.com, and you look at their barrels, they don't list a lot. Well, now they do. Well, at least at 300 blackout, they only had 2 offerings, and both of them were 16-inch carbine length gas systems, which is going to be a problem unless it's threaded and you put a suppressor on there, so you have that back pressure to cycle around. And if you're like me and you've got a 9.5-inch can putting on a 16-inch barrel, you're not going to be running, high-speed low drag Chris Costa style. I mean, you're going to have, a big old lugging barrel. So kind of interesting. But yeah, definitely check out Black Hole Weaponry barrels. I know a lot of people that have built using these barrels, and they come highly recommended. I mean, like I'd say a Noveski level of quality. So next, let's get into the sponsor product. As you may know, Action Target is our bandwidth sponsor, and if you use the promo code Radio15, you can get 15% off your order at Action Target's website. So if you click on the banner on the Firearms Insider website or go to firearmsinsider.tv/Action Target, you can go to their store and use the promo code and get 15% off your steel order. So this week I'm going to be talking about the PT Rocker. I'm not sure if I covered this one already. I'm starting to run out of new products. I've been talking about these every week. The PT Rocker is a budget-friendly steel target that uses a counterweight to provide a greater visual feedback for shots. So if you've just got static steel, you don't really have much visual indication that you hit your target. It's more auditory. You might be able to see your splash, but sometimes, depending on what bullet, what caliber you're using, you might not see that. This actually, like I said, has a counterweight. So when you hit the torso plate of the target, it actually rocks backwards. And then there's a counterweight that helps it kind of rock back and forth and then eventually stabilized back to its resting position. So the MSRP is $275, and you can also adjust the counterweight for your caliber. It comes with your choice of 6 different target head shapes in either AR-500 armor steel for handgun calibers or AR-550 armor steel for rifle calibers. And it's got a shooting stand that comes in different lengths as well that you can choose from. So that's 2 feet, 3 feet, and 4 feet as your choices for the stand height. It's only an extra $20 to upgrade to the 550 heavy-duty steel. So that's definitely worth it, in my opinion, just because you never know when someone's going to, take a shot at it with an AK without asking you or whatnot. So it's always nice to have a little bit harder steel. That way you don't end up, having a negligent rifle ding in your steel plate. So the target plates, the heads that you get to choose from, you can have an 8x12 rectangle, a 12-inch circle, 10-inch circle, 8-inch circle, 6-inch circle, and then they have a 40% IPSC 8x12 torso. You can also use this as a knockdown target by removing the counterweight, and then it is easily reset using, there's a 30-foot steel cable that's also included in the package. So whether you're training with handguns, shotguns, or rifles, you can adjust this target to fit your needs, which is kind of nice, because sometimes if you're running like maybe a competition stage, it's if you have this a little bit further out, so it's a little bit more of a challenge, and having it just fall over when they hit it, and then when you're resetting, somebody can run up and yank on the steel cable and reset it. That's kind of a nice dual functionality to it. So what do you think, TJ? You think this is a pretty nice functional steel target?
Yeah, it seems pretty cool. I like that rocker style. Maybe you can kind of practice hitting stuff on the move or something along those lines. If I'm correct, it swings kind of side to side, right? Not sure if I'm looking at this thing properly. Or does it swing back and forth?
yeah, back and forth because
Almost like it's
I don't know
falling back.
how. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
But
Yeah, they've certainly got other steel targets that let you shoot something that's pivoting side to side, but not this
yeah,
one.
I thought that's what this was then.
Yeah.
I had my axis wrong, I suppose.
So if that's something that interests you, make sure you go to Action Target's website, or you can go to their website and then go to the store, or you just go to store.actiontarget.com. You look under steel targets, look under rifle steel, and then you'll see the PT rocker. So let's get into the main discussion of our panel reviews. TJ, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Um, this week I have the Maritac AA tactical something or other flashlight. They have a really long name for it, and it seems like it's different in every place I see it. So I'm just going to call it the Maritac AA tactical flashlight. Um, this comes, it seems to be exclusively from a website called CountyCom, and they sell a lot of survival type stuff, little survival kits and small objects, stuff to keep your stuff dry, and all kind of neat stuff. It's just a pretty cool website if you want to go and check it out. But this flashlight's it's a double A, as the name implies, tactical flashlight. Um, it's advertised at 620 lumens on the high mode. Uh, it has three standard modes of high, medium, and low. The medium's advertised at 110 lumens, and the low's at 5 lumens. And I'm not entirely sure that their numbers are accurate because it seems pretty close to another one of my flashlights that are closer to the 300 range. So either my other flashlight's brighter or this one's dimmer than advertised, which I would probably go with this one being dimmer than advertised. But then it has a couple secondary modes. It's got a strobe, which is like a pretty quick strobe, and then it's got a beacon that flashes once every second, and then a slow strobe or a slow beacon where it flashes once every 3 seconds. And the way you get to those different modes is kind of like a lot of other flashlights. If you have the bezel or the crown of the flashlight tightened all the way, it's going to be in the standard modes, and if you loosen it, just a quarter of a turn or so, it's going to be in your special modes. And it don't think I mentioned it. It's about 6 inches long, about 7/8 inch wide, so kind of that standard length and size of a tactical flashlight. Let's see. The button, though, I'm a little disappointed by the button because it's not a momentary. It doesn't have any option for a momentary on. It's click it on or click it off. So that could be a feature that I would recommend them adding. But the tail cap, though, has these two little raised fins, which I got in a picture on the website review if you want to take a look at that. And it's got these two little fins that raise up, and they're a little bit higher than the button, so it keeps you from accidentally activating it, like in your pocket. And it also gives you something to stand it up on. So if you're trying to light an area, you can set it on a table and just walk away without it falling over. But those same fins also make it kind of awkward to press if your hand's not in the perfect position, because basically your thumb has to go between those two fins to activate the button, and if it's not perfect, you're just hitting the fins and it's in the way. The bezel of the flashlight is kind of, I believe they call it like a crenellated bezel with the little nubs, I guess you could say, on the front. Some people say it's for a striking tool or whatever, but these aren't very deep at all. You can actually barely see them in my pictures. You can see them a little bit, but one thing I think I saw somebody mentioned was that it's more to, let's say if you set your flashlight on a table and it's on, those little crenellated grooves will let you see that it's on, rather than the next time you go to pick your flashlight up and you didn't realize you left it on for 4 hours and now the batteries are dead. So that's a pretty neat little feature in that respect. It also has these little hexagonal flats machined into the side of it, so if you don't have the pocket clip on there, it's not going to roll away. And then the pocket clip also is reversible. You can put it on either side of the flashlight. So if you want to carry it with a light or with the switch up or the switch down in your pocket, you can do either way you prefer. And then I suppose you could even put it to where, like, if you're carrying it light side up, you could clip it to a hat or something like that to use as like a improvised headlight. And then, okay, so here are my 8 key points. The claim to fame is compact and bright LED light. The target market is anybody that needs a light, and as I've said before, in my opinion, is pretty much everybody because you can't see in the dark. The features and benefits: it's bright, compact, it has many modes, AA batteries, which means it's going to be easily replaced rather than your CR2s or CR123s. It's got a Cree XPG2 LED, which is one of the more modern LED technologies. 620 lumens advertised. Oh, and I didn't mention this in my review. It has a mode memory. So if you set it to, if the last mode you used was the high mode, it's going to come back on in the high mode. And then if you loosen the bezel and the last one you use is the strobe, it's going to come back on in the strobe. And you can just cycle through those by soft tapping it. And it is made of aluminum. It's a solid aluminum body. It's only available in black, but they do have their mini version that is available in a few different colors, but it's not this exact model. And I couldn't find any other reviews to see what other people are saying, so I didn't put that in there. The price point that I've found, it's only available from CountyCom, as I mentioned earlier, and it is $44.95. My rating, I gave it the pluses. It's bright, it's multi-mode, has the mode memory, and the clip is reversible. The negatives, I have that the button is a little awkward, and it has no momentary on. So overall, I gave this flashlight a 7.5. It's a pretty decent flashlight, but there are probably other better options. But it's pretty good. It's relatively inexpensive also, so it's a good flashlight.
Yeah, I found that I had once had a little pocket flashlight that had really aggressive, the crenulated front, and I had it in my pocket, and man, that thing definitely wears a hole in the fabric of your pants. So that's also a nice thing about this one is that it probably wouldn't wear through the lining of your pocket as much as some of the other more aggressive styled ones.
Right. It's not super aggressive to be tearing your clothes, but honestly, like I said earlier, I think it's just to give you that visual clarification that it's on. Like if you set it down with the flashlight part down. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe they're intending it to be defensive, but I mean it's not very large, so I don't see
Yeah,
where it would be that useful. But it's definitely a cool feature for the battery saving aspect.
yeah, definitely. And the fact that it runs on good old AA's, you can't beat that. Especially if you're looking at a situation where there's a kind of a large scale emergency, collapse of structures or whatnot. It's good to have a flashlight that runs on popular batteries that you can find. Not some of these tactical flashlights that run on all the different smaller, odd batteries. It's good to have at
Yeah.
least one that runs on AA's.
Right, and that was one of my considerations in getting AA battery flashlights. Most of my flashlights are double or AAA because I don't want it to be some weird, super expensive battery. Because I'm sure, as most of our listeners know, that the CR123 batteries are not cheap, and it's not something I want to be replacing once every couple of weeks. Because I do
Yeah.
carry this every day, or I do carry some flashlight every day, and I would much rather replace a double or AAA than a 123. My 123s are strictly for weapon lights.
Yeah.
I
Well,
definitely
it's
wish
kind of
more
like,
people made AA powered lights in this form factor. It's under an inch. That's another problem with the 123s is they're kind of fat. So to get a flashlight for it, most of them are an inch to an inch and a quarter, and that's just a lot of real estate taken up in your pocket, in my opinion.
yep,
It's a little bulky.
right on. So thanks for that review.
Yeah, no problem.
You know way more about flashlights than I do, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm kind of a not a super, I forget what they call them, flashaholic, I think is the word for it. I'm not super hardcore where I'm spending thousands of dollars on flashlights, but I have spent a fair couple hundreds of dollars on flashlights in the last couple of years.
Very nice. Um, so my review this week is a survival knife by MTech USA. I've got it right here. It's a all one-piece stainless steel construction knife. Looks pretty beefy, kind of like a redneck toothpick. Um, this is all one piece. It's kind of like a Tonto style tip, and it's 440 stainless steel. So if you're not aware of the different kinds of steel used in knives, 440 stainless steel is pretty good. It will lose its edge pretty easily with use. So when you are packing this in like a survival kit or hunting pack or camping gear or whatever, you're definitely going to want to have a sharpener because when you use this knife, it will start to dull much quicker than, say, a knife made out of carbon steel. The trade-off is that stainless steel is much easier to keep clean and a little bit more corrosion resistant than carbon steel. So it's kind of a trade-off. Do you want a knife that's gonna stay clean and not get all rusty and tarnished after use, or a knife that you have to sharpen a lot more or on a more regular basis with use? And so I didn't buy this. My dad just retired, and this is one of the gifts that one of his coworkers gave him. Because he kind of talks about retiring and going hunting more. So they got him this survival knife. They probably got it off Amazon or maybe in a local, novelty shop or whatnot. The brand MTech it's a brand under Master Cutlery. And so if you go to Master Cutlery's website, you'll see that they actually have a lot of survival knives in all sorts of different configurations. So different blade types, different sizes. They've got kind of more fixed blades, boot knives, neck knives. They've got curved karambits. Anyway, so if you go to mastercutlery.com, you can check all those out. It's kind of like a wholesale knife company. So this knife, it's 11 inches overall, and the blade is 6 inches, and the handle is the 5 inches, and it came wrapped in a cord. This is actually paracord that did not come with this knife. I actually had this wrapped with paracord because this is the cord that came with it. And I don't know if you can tell by just holding the two up to the camera. This cord, I wouldn't use this as shoelace string. It's very, I don't know what you would call it. It's not any kind of military cordage at all. So I wouldn't really use this more than once. So if you want a knife that's wrapped in cordage that you can use and actually support some weight with, make snares, hold up, a tarp, or bind and lash branches and stuff together, you want some stronger stuff, and this ain't gonna cut it. So I wrapped it in paracord, and there's about 8 feet of paracord on this handle, believe it or not. It's amazing. And it actually adds quite a bit of girth to the handle, which that's one trade-off. This cordage probably was half as thick as this paracord now, but it is a full tang knife, meaning that the whole handle is the full width. It doesn't kind of get shorter and then have some kind of handle like affixed to it. So it does give my meat hooks a little bit something rounder to hold on to and to use. It does have these 90-degree quillions. You can also call these cross guards, Basically, they protect your finger. If you're sharpening or cutting something and that cutting object gets down to here, you're not going to smack yourself on the knuckle. And then you can also put your thumb on the back crossguard for extra leverage. Then, as you can see, the back of the knife looks to be serrated. It's not very sharp at all, so I haven't sharpened the serrations yet. In fact, the knife itself was pretty dull in the package, which most knives ship, not sharp. So just a couple passes with the diamond sharpener gave it a pretty good edge. I'd say the other big selling point about this knife, other than the fact that it just looks freaking awesome, is that it comes in this sheath that has a fire starter in it. I mean, fire starters aren't expensive. You can get them pretty much at any REI or camping store, but it's kind of nice that this one came with one for the express purpose of, this is a survival knife. You'll use it in the woods. You need to start a fire. So it came with one. And so this is just a magnesium alloy fire starter. It works. The only thing is this being a stainless blade and this being, kind of having like a black carbonate or black kind of poly surface to keep that magnesium from getting any kind of surface rust or anything like that. When you use it, you'll actually get some black lines that go across the stainless material. So aesthetically, you use this a lot, you'll see all sorts of black lines going across your knife. Whatever. It's meant to be used and not supposed to be any kind of beauty queen, so not a huge deal. So being able to replace the cordage is nice, because then you can do whatever color you wanted. I just did an OD, so it matched the color of the sheath itself. And it is a pretty nice nylon sheath. It's got grommets at the bottom, and then it's got reinforced edges that's stitched pretty well. So I don't see a need to replace this sheath unless over time it takes on any kind of damage, cutting or whatnot. What other people are saying about this knife? Well, first, the target market. Obviously campers, survivalists, hunters, G.I. Joe like types, or that just appreciate very large cutlery. And before I was actually old enough to start purchasing firearms, I was a big knife collector. So not big, but I had a pretty decent collection. So I do appreciate a good knife. So what other people are saying, there's a review. It says, my wife bought this knife for me a week ago after I told her my buddy had invited us to his cabin for a weekend. When I tell you I use this knife for everything, I kid you not. The blade is solid, and the parallel saw-like blade makes this knife so much better. The fire starter works well, better than matches, and is much more accessible. At least for me, I tied mine to the knife when I got it. The nylon sheath for storing is a nice touch, especially when you want to keep this knife in your pocket, which you definitely will. I would definitely recommend this item, and that was user Avila on Amazon.com. So the MSRP is $24. That's listed on the Master Cutlery website, but you can get it on Amazon for like $10.93. So super inexpensive knife for what this is. I mean, I've seen smaller, cheaper pocket knives that were more expensive than this for $11. So can't really beat it there. So we have an affiliate link for you in the show notes to click on and buy this at Amazon, and we get some of that affiliate love, which we appreciate. So for pluses, price above all was really good, and the sheath is a pretty good, adequate quality, and the fact that it stores the fire starter in the sheath, so that way you're not, if you lose the fire starter and you brought it instead of matches, then you're kind of hosed. So it's kind of nice that it's got a little pouch for it there. I dinged it for the cordage that it comes with, not being 550 or any kind of paracord military quality. And then the the 450, or I'm sorry, the 440 stainless steel, it just being a quality of steel that loses its edge over time, like I explained. So definitely bring a sharpener. And in fact, if you can find a diamond sharpener that's kind of in a rod shape, and maybe you are the kind that brings a lighter whenever you go somewhere, you can just try and find a sharpener that fits right in here instead of this fire starter, and then you'd be good to go because you'd have the sharpener on the sheath at all times. So that is my review.
Yeah, it looks like a really cool budget kind of survival option. You know, it's a $10 probably. I didn't actually look at the Amazon link, but it's probably got the free shipping and all that. And so it'd be pretty useful just throw in a pack and kind of forget about it, especially since that's stainless steel. You don't have to worry about it rusting and all that. Too bad.
Yeah, and it having cordage and then these cross guards. If you were in a situation where you wanted to get all like Lord of the Flies and like tie this onto a stick and make kind of like a lance or spear for hunting in a kind of a dire, desperate scenario, you could definitely affix this to a stick, no problem. Especially using these cross guards as kind of support to lash it to the stick. Another thing is I used to throw knives a lot when I was a kid. I know it sounds kind of sketchy, but it was perfectly normal. And so usually when I have a knife that's all one solid piece construction, I check out the balance. I just kind of rest it on my finger, and the balance point should be somewhere in the middle. So when you actually throw the knife, it rotates kind of symmetrically. So even with adding the paracord, which I would say the girth added by putting paracord on this instead would really hurt this knife's throwing ability. I didn't throw it when I had the regular original cord on there, so I can't really tell you. But from experience, as this came in its original configuration, I would say that it would be you would be able to throw it proficiently. That's entirely up to you. And there's better throwing knives out there for about the same money, especially ones that are kind of more have a symmetrical and then a point that just goes right down the center. Having a blade that's asymmetrical like this, as far as the blade goes, that's not great for throwing. But if you had to in a pinch, you could chuck this. At least if you're bored camping, you can throw this into a tree a couple times just for some entertainment value, which probably is what I'll end up doing. I've never gotten any game by throwing a knife. Just I'm not awesome enough to do that. So there's my review. I mentioned that I gave it a 7.0. Yeah, I think I did. Okay. So next up for the tech gadget or app section, I have been seeing a lot of these fold-out solar panels in like the outdoor stores and the Army surplus stores, kind of in like taking it on a prepper tactical type sales pitch. Basically, they fold up so you can put it in your pack, and then you unfold them, and they collect the sunlight and can charge your smartphone, your GoPro camera, anything with it's compatible with multiple devices. So if you're definitely hiking in the backcountry and you want to be able to charge your device that you couldn't leave at home, this would be an option for you, as opposed to bringing like a portable charger that is really just an external battery that also will die after losing its charge. This is different. This actually, you fold it out, you plug it into your phone, and then it actively charges your device. It doesn't have an internal battery that it has to charge first before it can feed juice to your device. So there's lots to choose from. I was actually looking at this brand called Levin, Levin, and this is the Soul Wing 13-watt ultra slim solar panel. So there's a link to it to Amazon, and we'll make sure that that's an affiliate link as well. So is compatible with most GPS units, iPhones, iPads, Samsungs, LG, Nokia, Motorola, Bluetooth speakers, e-readers, GoPro cameras, MP4 players, basically most devices out there on the market today. And it's the thinnest, lightest, most efficient solar panel charger on the planet. So compared to other 13-watt solar panels, this one possesses 29% higher conversion rate, but 40% lighter weight. So it's got it's compatible with all 5-volt USB charge devices, and it includes an instruction manual. I don't know how much instruction you need for folding it out and letting it bask in the sun, but it weighs less than a pound, almost exactly a pound, 0.94 pounds, and it folds out to a little over 12 inches by a little over 7 inches, and then less than half an inch dimension. It's got eye holes on, not grommets, but eye holes that make it easy to attach it to like a backpack, so you can actually charge your stuff while you're walking in the sun. And the MSRP is looks like it's $129.99, but Amazon has it on sale right now for $68.99 with free shipping. So that's kind of a pretty good deal to jump on if you're in the market for one of these.
Yeah, I've been pretty interested in these lately. Especially with today's, for us with our newer firearms technologies, they're tending to be, electronic based, like a lot of everything nowadays. If you have cameras or any kind of systems that you want to charge in the field, you could just unfold this thing, plug it up on the bench, and just let it charge while you're going about your business. That's pretty awesome right there. Or like you said, just strap it to the back of your backpack and charge it while you're walking.
Yep, and it's got Velcro strips so that you can fold it up, fold the panels up and close it securely. The solar panels do not have a fingerprint prone surface, and it's very simple. There's no buttons to press. You just fold it out and plug it in. So that's definitely good in the field, especially I can think off the top of my head, if you're out in the backcountry hiking or hunting or whatnot, and you have a flashlight that can be charged via USB or something like that, this would be awesome, because obviously in the daytime you don't need your flashlight. You can be charging your flashlight, and then the nighttime you'll have your flashlight fully charged. So that's definitely really handy, because it sucks when you're out hunting for long periods of time, horseback or whatnot, and then your phone only has so much juice in it. So taking pictures of your when you get a big game animal or something like that, or taking video of the landscape, it always sucks to have a dead battery and then not be pretty much hosed the rest of the trip. This way you can charge your device the whole time you're out, as long as sunlight permitting. So this is pretty cool.
Yeah, Murphy's Law says if you need it, it's going to be dead. So it's always good to have a way to charge it.
Yep, and it's pretty inexpensive. I've seen a lot of these in smaller panels, kind of more like an iPad size. So I don't know whether that's one panel or maybe there's two panels there. So there's kind of different sizes and different charging capacities, but for the price, and this seems to be one of the highest charging rates, I would definitely go with this one.
Did they mention about how quickly it charges, say like a phone or something like that? I may have missed that when you were talking.
I didn't mention that because I didn't see it.
Oh, okay, well, sorry for asking that.
They mentioned the conversion rate, but I'm looking down in the reviews on Amazon.com to see if I can see anybody saying how fast it charged their phone. It does say that it can charge up to 2.4 amps, And so there's actually someone using it and taking a video, and they have a USB amperage meter on there, so it's actually telling them how much the amps and what the watts are. I don't see, it's got one USB port. I
Here we
don't
go. I
see
found in one
anything
of the
about.
user questions. Somebody asked, how long does it take to charge a cell phone from dead to fully charged? And the response was, says it needs about 3 hours of to fully charge an iPhone from dead under full sunlight. So that's,
Okay.
I mean, if I remember correctly, the iPhone, or most iPhones, take about an hour to charge or so from dead. So that's actually pretty good time if you really compare.
Yeah.
Having it plugged into a wall.
Well, and
And
then
then
there's different solar power banks that are almost, the size of a phone, maybe
mm-hmm.
have like a carabiner on there, and those you leave in the sun and they charge up, and then after they're full, you plug them into your phone, and then they are like an external battery. But those can take up to 8 hours in the sun to fully charge.
Wow.
Um, so it's
So then
like
you
not
definitely want to do
only
what you're talking about, have it attached to your bag all day and then charge it at night kind of thing.
yeah. I mean, who's got 8 hours to charge the thing, and then you plug it into your phone, and that can take 1 to 2 hours to fully charge. It sounds like having a solar panel like this is the way to go.
Right. And another, just kind of a quick aside, something I learned this week: if you're just trying to get a quick charge on your phone, you can put it in airplane mode, and what that does is it turns off all of the cellular data and Wi-Fi, everything. Basically, it just shuts a lot of things down from draining the battery. So, if you have 10 minutes to charge your phone and before you leave for a while, then just try that, because I actually did that this weekend. I had about 10 minutes. My phone was on about 32% battery, so I turned it on airplane mode, plugged it up. Of course, in a house, not a solar charger, but plugged it up for about 10 minutes, and it ended up getting about 20% battery out of it. So that was a pretty neat little tip I found.
Yeah, I've also heard that, and I do that. I try and do that as well. So you're not the only one to have heard that little rumor. So let's get right into listener feedback. We had one review from the Shanester. They gave us a 4-star rating. Said this is the best show for getting non-biased reviews of gear. My only complaint is that it can get a little dry sometimes, but I've noticed that there seems to be an effort to get more people on and have some buddy talk to liven it up. I really appreciate the host and how much work he puts in to help the enthusiast community. I appreciate your appreciation, and that's the kind of dry humor you can expect.
Yeah,
So
thanks for the review, Chainster.
Yeah, thanks for that review, and it's definitely trying to get more of you guys, the listeners, on the show to help not only liven it up and hear more than the same handful of guys talking each week, but really get the community participation up. I mean, I go to the store and typically I'll buy something just to talk about it on the show, and you might want that excuse too. So if you just send me an email, cross@firearmsradio.tv, I can get you set up to come on the show, and it'll be fun, I promise. So in closing, I want to promote the other podcasts on the Firearms Radio Network. A new one that just was released earlier this month is the Off-Road Podcast. So if you're into off-roading, using Jeeps, Toyotas, and going off-road, slinging some mud, and into the gear aspect of that as well, different tires, grills, auto parts. You'll definitely want to give that show a listen. One of the hosts is Greg Bakken, and you might know him from the Tactical Paradise podcast. So it's definitely a good listen to. It's kind of a nice break to get away from firearms for a split second. And if off-roading is one of your other hobbies, then there you go. You have something for that. So send questions, comments, or feedback to podcast@firearmsinsider.tv or myself, cross@firearmsradio.tv. Remember to subscribe and leave us an iTunes review. especially if you want to win this Mick holster for the Glocks, which Shanester here will be entered in for that giveaway as well. Also, check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network at firearmsradio.tv/iTunes. And be sure to visit the Firearms Insider website for our published reviews and further industry coverage. So thanks again, TJ, for joining me this week. It's always great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. It was a good time. And I just want to add that if anybody's interested in writing reviews for the Firearms Insider website, just send me an email at tj@firearmsradio.tv, and we'll get you set up.
Sweet. Very good plug. So if you want to participate, there's lots of ways to do so, so don't be shy. But in closing, have a good, safe week, shoot straight, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Later.
See you, Ryan.